This is your icon. You took this from beginning to end. Can you talk about how you got involved with this project?
First of all, I just want to say, seeing those Legend clips, that's clearly the best makeup Tim Curry's ever worn. I'm happy to be second place there. That Legend was just amazing. Let's see. I had a working relationship with Fantasy 2 Film Effects, Gene Warren Jr.'s company. They did Fright Night 2 for Tommy Lee Wallace, and Gene brought me on board to run his creature shop. They didn't have one before. He wanted to kind of compete with Boss Films and be able to offer miniatures and visuals and creature effects. So anyway, we had a relationship from Fright Night 2, so when it came along, it was just a natural transition.
Can we show, Josh, can we show slide 2, please?
Oh, there's some old pictures, some old drawings.
Some old drawings. These are drawings you did, right?
Yes.
Can you talk about, no, these haven't been seen before, have they?
Well, some people have seen them. They'll be in this documentary on it that's coming out in July. This was probably the first thing I did for it when I was just trying to conceptually work stuff out, which I quickly found that it was kind of pointless to do until I had an actor to design the makeup for, because makeups like this are so performance driven. But the one reason I did include this was my original concept for Pennywise was when the kids saw him, he would be the friendly clown. And then 30 years later, when the adults saw him again, he would be like a horrific caricature of that clown, because story-wise at that point, they knew that he wasn't a clown. But Tommy didn't see it that way, so.
Yeah, but there was also a reason for that, wasn't there? Wasn't there a reasoning continuity of shooting and stuff?
Tommy was afraid that scheduling-wise, there would be a day when we'd want to do both looks. But I was like, well, I looked at the schedule, and there's no conflicts. But, and I'm not saying that was the wrong decision. I mean, seeing the movie now, I think I think Tommy made the right choice. So.
Could we see the next image, please? Oh, can you talk about this?
Yeah, these are just in the design process for coming up with the makeup. Again, I did a few sketches, but they were just kind of pointless until we knew Tim was going to be Pennywise. I guess Rodney McDowell and Malcolm McDowell were also in the running, but they wisely chose Tim Curry, even though both of those guys would have been great too. So then I took a headshot at Tim. I just probably did dozens of pencil drawings and would submit those to Tommy, who by this point was up in Vancouver prepping the show. I was in Burbank, building. So he picked 3 that he liked, which I then did clay sketches. So those are the top row. And that's just water-based clay on a plaster head of Tim. And then I painted those up with, potential paint schemes. Tommy picked the one in the middle and then decided that's what he wanted me to develop as a prosthetic makeup, so I had to resculpt it and break it down as a prosthetic. Originally there was aside from the head piece and the nose, there was also cheekbones and a chin. My inspiration for that particular design was Lon Chaney's Phantom of the Opera, so that's why he's got like the upturned nose and that sort of thing.
You've also talked about when people copy your makeup or do a tribute to it, what is the biggest mistake they make?
They always screw up the nose. I've seen 1 or 2 where they get it right, but it's got a lot of times I'll just do a ball, which it's not. I mean, it's a prosthetic, so it's got nostrils, it's got like that upturned angle.
It's very disturbing, isn't it?
I guess it turned out to be. I mean, I was kind of trying to get that phantom upturned effect, but it is a weird amalgam of, like a nose and then a clown nose. In fact, there was, I don't think I'd mentioned this to you, but I'll, real quick, halfway through shooting, they realized that they didn't have any portraits of Tim as promotional stuff for the movie, because he was always in makeup. So I suggested to Tim that we do a portrait shoot, but that I put the clown nose on him and then just make it up like his nose. So the he was not amused. He was good. He good-naturedly refused to do it. So, but I kind of got like a cocked eyebrow and no thanks. So anyway.
Can we see the next image, please?
Okay, these are from the first makeup test. So again, the one on without the blue eyeshadow. That was the first pass where it was the headpiece and the nose prosthetic, and we just painted him white with Pax paint because I wanted a nice, pure, opaque white. A lot of clown white kind of goes gray. But the patterns on it, the paint job was Tim's, motivated by Tim. Those were his suggestions. Then on the same day, we did the second test where we added the cheekbones and the chin. And I kind of rather hurriedly tried to copy the design that Tommy had approved, in the pre-production. So then we photographed both of those. Tim wanted to wear as little prosthetics as possible because Legend was still fresh in his mind. So the cheekbones and chin were dropped. I needed a certain thickness on the head for when he gets hit with the rock and it knocks a hole in his head. So I needed a certain depth for the rigging for that. So I was able to, and I believe Tommy wanted kind of a light bulb head also. So we were able to keep that because I think Tim would have been happy with just a bald cap,
How did you make that white? Because making white work on film isn't just about the white, it's about everything around it in exposure. How did you make that work?
Well, I guess that was more for the DP. I mean, it was literally just, I don't know if any people have mixed up Pax paint. It was white Liquitex and it was Brosane. I think like the eyelids here are more oval and they became pyramids. They have liner, which we dropped the liner. I still lined the lips. So this was just, again, it's a collaborative, as any of these makeups are, it's a collaborative process.
There's actually also something quite sad about the character, isn't there?
It might be it might just be him being tired of. But I mean, the mouth may be I think it might be a little more downturned than what we ended up with. And then it's kind of weird seeing it with his hair and not the headpiece and the wig. But this was, just on the road to the evolution of the makeup. And then again, once we started shooting, it continued to evolve over the first few days. Particularly the eyebrows changed. I think this him in the laundry when he kills the little girl at the first episode, where he's in the laundry. The eyebrows have a real S curve to them, and then they slowly evolve to what we ended up with.
Can we see the next image, please?
Don't do it. And that's just him screwing around. Try and sleep because I figured it'd be harder to wake up than just power through it. So then we did the makeup, shot a whole day. So I think by the time I ended up going to sleep that evening, it had been 40 hours. So that sucked. So I don't advise that. So
how did it work? How did you work with Tim Curry and the director in collaboration on creating this makeup?
Well, again, kind of like what we went over already. Initially, I fed Tommy Lee Wallace a lot of design work. I didn't have any interaction with anyone else in Vancouver, so maybe he was talking with his art director or whoever. But he was, giving me his response, and then I would modify things from that. And then again, once he selected the basic look that we then turned into the prosthetics, and then when we did do the makeup on Tim, then he had some thoughts on the paint scheme. And then so it was, a lot of satisfying Tommy and Tim.
Just gonna look at my next question. Can we show the next images, please? 8 and 9.
Oh, there we go. There we're doing the makeup. Well, that's pretty much self-explanatory.
Yeah.
We're just glue it on. Maybe we pre-painted the noses. I hope we pre-painted the noses. But yeah, that's just the different steps.
And what was the time on this? How long did it take?
I don't remember exactly. It seems like everything was taking me 3 hours back then, which seems like too much time these days. I know I was doing, again, like multiple layers of packs to try and opaque out his skin tone and stuff, but it's between 2 and 3. I'm sure we probably did him just under a dozen times, so hopefully near the end, we were closer to the 2 hour mark.
You're pretty proud of your time as a makeup artist, right? You're pretty quick.
I would never accuse myself of that. It depends on the makeup, but
yeah. Can we see the next image, please, Josh?
Oh, but there's again, with Joanne. Again, we shot in Canada, so we needed a Canadian on the crew, and I'd worked with Stefan Dupuis on RoboCop, and then he he recommended Joanne, so that was good enough for me, and she turned out great. So,
did you find it? Were you scared of clowns?
no.
Are you scared of them after it?
No. Never. I mean, I know this one. He's a nice guy. You should get your picture taken with him if you get a chance. Who was the? I keep forgetting his name. Who was it? John Wayne Gacy.
John Wayne Gacy.
So I did see. I guess he was a fan of Pennywise because he actually painted a picture of Pennywise, which I was flattered and repulsed at the same time. It's like, that's cool that I got a fan. It's too bad that he's a child murderer, but anyway. So I guess everybody liked Pennywise.
You said the makeup changed a little bit throughout the shooting. Can we go to the next image?
I mean, not in any great. I mean, the nose was still red. Well, that's not him at all.
No, but that's okay. Is that
It's
clear?
just the same movie. But it was mainly just finessing.
Yeah.
Mainly the eyebrows. I don't know why I didn't think of doing a template for the brows, so I freehanded those every day, which was a major pain in the ass. But thankfully, with Max Paint, if I screwed something up, I could just paint over it and repaint it. I might have even used a Sharpie. I don't remember what but I mean, it was mostly Pax, and then a little bit of, I want to say, super color. We tried different things around the eyes, but I think ultimately it was like the Krylon super palette for like the blue and the.
Would you have to bring everything? So you were making pieces and traveling with them. Were you traveling with your color? Were you traveling with everything? Did you bring everything with you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I left. I mean, eventually I could leave stuff up there. I probably left my kit and the wigs and stuff like that. But each time I would go up, it'd be the clown and then say the werewolf. So I'd have a trunk with the werewolf stuff in it, or I'd have Stan's head, if that worked. And usually when we go through customs, they'd open the stuff up and, want to see what was in it. And then the one day I had the trunk with the head, and they're like, oh, all right, going through. And it's like, well, don't you want to look in the box? I'm like, no, it's okay.
Look in the box.
So, yeah, that's right.
What's in the box?
Don't open them. But yeah, so we would, and the spider, then we built the spider in Burbank and trucked that up and finished it up there. But everything else I would just, because it was mostly one-offs, so it was either Tim by himself or it was Tim with, the werewolf, or Tim with, Al Marsh's corpse or something. So I could travel light enough.
With the spider, was that the first time you'd done something that big?
Yes. Yeah, that was like 16 feet long, I think, the body.
And how many people worked on it?
Well, that was mainly Joey Orozco and Aaron Sims.
Oh my God.
Joey did the initial design. I did have Jim McPherson do a maquette for it because Joey was working for me on Predator 2. We did the liquid nitrogen guns that Gary Busey tries to kill a predator with. But Joey's design was pretty unique, and I don't know that. Jim's a wonderful sculptor, but he didn't have a lot of time, and I don't know that he fully interpreted the design. So I think once Tommy saw the maquette and then saw ours looked just like the drawing, but maybe not just like the maquette. So I think Tommy was a little confused by it. It wasn't exactly what he was expecting, apparently.
And design, from a design point of view, in your career, had you ever done? Was it a step up to make something like that?
Yeah, I'd done like full body suits and puppets and stuff like that, but not a puppet that big or and I don't know that really any of us had. Norman Cabrera was on my team. He did the werewolf and Al Marsh, so he'd been at Rick Baker's, but he had mainly done more makeup-y type stuff. Joey and Aaron had worked at, I think it was called Dynamation, which was like a dinosaur. They made like full-size dinosaurs for like museums and stuff. So I probably leaned on them a little bit, but a lot of it was mold, sculpting and molding. It was just a 10-foot mold instead of a 2-foot mold.
One of the things we talked about was this was made for TV.
Right.
Were you frustrated by any of the limitations of TV in sense of gore or things you wanted to do?
Well, we certainly had to rein it in, and it was pre-censored, so they, they'd be like, well, you can have a severed head in the fridge, but you can't have like meat hanging out of it. I think the corpse in the lake that comes out of the lake, Ben's father, they were like, it can be Raiders of the Lost Ark, but it can't be American Werewolf. So, it could be dry. Yes, those are both great. But I remember because they were saying like, it's going to be a dry corpse, and I'm like, well, it's coming out of water, so it's going to be wet regardless. But it was more mummified, say, than fresh gore. So they I don't want to say our hands were tied, but they were very specific on what we could and couldn't do. So we just worked within those parameters, which was kind of frustrating when I saw the new It, which I thought was fine, and I mean I enjoyed it a lot. But we've got 1990s TV censorship versus 2017 R-rated, ripping kids' arms off. I would have liked to have pulled Georgie's arm off.
But you know what's sort of weird, I think, is that in terms of the censorship made you have to think in a way, and that maybe that made it more disturbing in a sense.
I mean, I don't think there was anything that we necessarily wanted to do that we couldn't. There were some stuff. Originally, it was going to be a 6-hour miniseries, 3 parts, and then it got compressed to 2 hours. So I remember there was a cool effect at the end of, I think, the second night when it was a 3-parter, where they were going to be pushing in on it, and it was going to be morphing between all the looks. So it'd be like the clown, the werewolf, the whatever. So I think that would have been really cool. I'm not real sure how he would have done it. I mean, again, I was working with Gene Warren in Fantasy 2, so they had motion control and optical, and rotoscoping and all that stuff. So I'm sure it would have been a multi-pass where we would have changed the heads and they would have dissolved between them and, whatever. So that would have been a challenging, an effect. So I wish we could have done that. But that was about the only thing that we kind of lost. Everything else, again, I think we pretty much built what was in the script.
Can you talk about working with Tim Curry?
What can I say that Lois hasn't already said? I mean, he was great. I'm sure that was probably the first time I was maybe starstruck in terms of working on someone. I'd already met Roddy McDowall on Friday night, so he was cool, but I wasn't applying makeup to him. But Tim, this was like the first, I don't want to say real actor, but I'll say real actor that that I was working on. So there was a little bit of nervousness. I knew he was no stranger to prosthetics, but he was great. He couldn't have been nicer.
Had Legend come out by then?
Oh yeah.
So you'd seen Legend?
Oh, definitely, yeah. In fact, he wanted us to. The first thing he said when I was talking about doing his live cast was, could you call it Botine and just use one of those molds? But I think it had been a number of years, so I wasn't sure if he had gained weight or lost weight, or just your face changes after a while. So I convinced him you need a fresh one. But then after that, I think the next thing he did after it was Tales from the Dark Side, or Tales from the Crypt, where he played the mother, father, and daughter. And Todd Masters did that. So Tim was like, call it Bart. He's got my head cast. So I was happy to let Todd use it.
Can we see the next image?
I forgot what the other photos are. Let's see what's next.
Yeah. What was that like to see that performance and watch him bring your makeup to life?
Again, just having an actor of his caliber bringing your work to life is certainly a dream come true. I mean, this is certainly a very performance or actor-driven makeup, so you definitely need an actor of his caliber. So the way he could just switch it from being harmless and cuddly to just menacing and frightening is, again, that's why you hire real actors for these roles. I had a friend saying that darkness, it was a waste to put Tim Curry inside that darkness makeup. It's like, that's why it's as memorable as it is. That's why Freddy Krueger is as memorable as he is. It's because you have a real actor doing it. I will say, when we were shooting that scene, on the lake, they had to put him in a little canoe and row him out to like a little 3-foot square platform that he had to stand on. And that was probably the scariest day for me, because if he went and drink, then that wig was going to get ruined.
And how long would that would have been a 3-hour reset?
Well, I would have that's why I had backup wigs, which I never had to swap them out, but we would have pulled him out, fixed what we could, and changed out the wig.
Well, there was one thing you told me that I thought was an amazing story. Can you talk about the acid burn on the face?
Sure. Do we want to get up to that?
Let's go to that next image. Let's see I think that might be. We won't talk about the acid burn, we'll talk about teeth.
Okay, well, I was going to say, that was all shot in Burbank. So Fantasy 2 also had like an insert stage, so we did a fair amount of pickups. But yeah, Tim had 3 teeth changes, and then we also had contact lenses, so we just kind of kept those with us. At any time Tommy felt, I want to punctuate the scene with scary teeth or with exorcist eyes. Jim McLaughlin sculpted my teeth. So
What were teeth based on? What was the idea behind the teeth?
Just scary monster teeth. I mean, we did one set were like corpse teeth, kind of zombie-ish, rotted corpse stuff, and then we had I think we probably made these first, and they were too big for him to like deliver dialogue. So then we made a pointy set that were smaller. So when he is like threatening right before the battery acid, where he's like, "I'm the eater of the world and of children," he's got the smaller teeth, so he can actually speak. And then we'd stick these in for just shots like that, where he's just looking scared.
Now you knew this book, but you weren't. It wasn't a huge thing for you, was it, when you got the job?
Well, it was huge because it was I was key in the show. I think it was only the second thing I supervised, after moving out to LA. My brother, I have a twin brother, Brett, who does visual effects, and he was working at Fantasy 2, which is kind of how I got into the whole Fantasy 2 family, was through him. But he was more of a Stephen King fan. So when the book came out, he's reading it, and he's like, "Oh, it's cool. It's it senses your fears. It's a clown, but it can be whatever you're afraid of. So it's a werewolf. It's this and that." And then he got to the end. He's like, "Oh, it's just a big spider." So I was like, "Oh well." But so I never read the whole book. I did once I got the script. I read that, and then I found some of the descriptive passages in the book.
Did you use them?
I mean, they were pretty, his red hair, red nose, and I think he had a silver suit, which they do in the new movies. But so, I mean, other than that, it wasn't like, oh, he's got a light bulb head or, whatever. So it was pretty bare bones and pretty basic, just, he's a clown, so.
Can we do the next clip, please? Was that your first werewolf you've done?
Yes. When I was doing Fright Night 2, I purposely kind of told him to give the werewolf on that. You guys ought to give that to Greg Cannon, because he had just done the werewolf TV show. So I was like, he knows how to do hair suits, and I had enough stuff with the other. So yeah, this was a chance to get to do a werewolf. Norman Cabrera, again, did that, and Al Marsh for me. And I think basically I just said, it's got to look like Teenage Werewolf, but make it look, like a more modern take, and make it look cool. And that's all the direction you need to give it.
But was it hard for you not to do everything on it? Because you seem like a guy that would have liked to have done every aspect of this.
Well, you quickly learn on movies that you can't do everything, and you have to delegate. So that's why, it was probably the best crew I've had. I remember Friday Night 2 crew was really good too, and most of them were on it. But yeah, I mean, I had, between Norman on the werewolf and Marsh, and Jim McLaughlin did the corpse and the lake and the stand stuff, and then Joey and Aaron. So I knew the stuff was in good hands. And I knew that Tim was going to be getting all the screen time, so I don't know that I would say it was selfish, but you're the boss, so I was like, I'm going to do the fun one. So I made sure I sculpted both his regular look and his battery acid look. So that was, back when I used to sculpt. So
can we see the next clip, please, Josh?
I will say with the werewolf, to save time, it was a slip-over mask with a spandex neck, like a cowl that we tied. So it was, because I knew I was going to have to do that plus Tim on the same day. So it was,
move it along.
Yeah, it was a costume thing basically, but it works.
Great story you told me about this, Bart, in regards to Tim Curry and what he did, because this makeup was maybe not going to be in the film.
This being included in the movie, I have Tim to thank for that. So thank you, Tim.